earlier from some students about, nonlinear education. So you'll be seeing a few photos from my friend Diego Romero, the photographer, not the potter. There is also a photograph in there from Professor Malcolm Perry that is not a star photo, but if you look closely, it is a star photo. And I'll explain that a little bit in a minute. So, first off, my name is DezBaa, and that's the name that I currently go by. It was given to me by the first Navajo physicist, the late Dr. Fred Begay. He told me then that it meant she's going on a raid. It took me a while, I feel, to actually fulfill that. But growing up, I remember that my dad would always tell me that he loved me to Alpha Centauri and back. And that was different than saying, I love you to the moon and back. But I also remember listening to VHS recordings of Carl Sagan and listening to his voice hypnotize me with billions and billions of stars. So that was my first introduction to learning about the stars. And currently now, with my young daughter, I find myself in reclaiming and reconnecting with my Navajo culture, that I'm sharing that same love in a different way. Sometimes we go up to Jemez and we'll go into the hot springs and we'll just look up at the stars. And it's been told that Jemez area is actually the womb and the cradle of Mother Earth, Nahat'an. So I'm teaching my daughter connecting with the universe, with Nahat'an and Yadashil, Father Sky, by actively engaging with her my own sense of wonder. I didn't grow up in a Navajo culture, in part because my dad was raised in Bloomfield with an adopted white family. And I feel that there's a little bit of a parallel with our desire to reach back into the stars with where we came from. In Navajo culture, we're also taught that we come from the stars, we come from the sun. Father, Son. We are part of energy, we are part of that matter. And in our everyday life, our objects that we use in our everyday living, such as our DezBaa, which some people know as our wedding basket, reflect our connection with Father Sky and Mother Earth. In the creation of the DezBaa, we have the center, our North Star. And it is coiled counterclockwise as it's growing, similar into how the rotation of the constellations move about when you're facing it from the north. And it spirals outward, but it also spirals back in. Also, there is a line that faces to the east, an entryway and an exit way, and is similar to entering into a hogan, our living space. And you enter in from the east, and you go south, clockwise, and then to the west, and then to the north, and then back out again to the east. And it's a continual, constant, re-emerging, emerging, back in again. It's never ending. It might perceive to be some end and some beginning. And it is also representative upside down, a bowl shape. There is no starting point. It just continues. Even in our clothing, our moccasins, our connection from Nahat'an, Mother Earth, to Father Sky, and they're connected with a stitch called a lightning stitch. So in our everyday life, as we're trying to connect with our universe, with our place on this earth, it's a part of our everyday life. There's no distinction between science. There's no distinction between art. There's no distinction between practicality of our everyday living. It is just a part of who we are. And so I want to kind of share that reminder as we question how do we reconnect, either with our culture and our heritage, with who we are, with the stars, where we came from, with our future generations. How do we connect? It's always going to be a relationship with the people you are sitting next to, with our stories, across billions and billions of stars, across thousands of miles of land, to the people across the other side of the world. There's an innate knowing in us. There was a statement that Professor Tom said earlier, the universe provides the questions. Everything that we're seeking, we already know. We're using quantifiable methods, qualitating everything. But through our art and our stories, we make those connections. And so as we are expanding our knowledge of where we came from and how to quantify it, how to qualify it, always remember too that the people sitting next to you are a part of that connection from where we came. We all came from stardust. And we're expanding our love, our knowledge, with our capacity to accept and grow. There's a multitude of answers, as I'm sure there are a multitude of universes. Thank you.